It's not hard to tell when Fox News is pushing a story. It shows up hour after hour after hour. And Fox is pushing hard on allegations that the Justice Department dropped the case against the new Black Panther Party because of racial politics. Now such Fox hosts as Megyn Kelly are calling out the rest of the media over this story and slamming Bob Schieffer for failing to raise it in an interview with Attorney General Eric Holder. We'll talk to the host of Face the Nation and give you a fair and balanced report. Flap turns on one case of voter intimidation involving two members of the new Black Panther Party in Philadelphia. The Justice Department brought charges at the end of the Bush administration. Most of the case was dropped by the Obama administration, and a former justice lawyer, a man by the name of J. Christian Adams, says this was done improperly for political and racial reasons. Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly has been on a tear over the story since interviewing Adams. The case has received a bit of coverage. The New York Times and Washington Post have each done a belated story, and CNN's newsroom has interviewed Adams. When the subject didn't come up on last Sunday's Face the Nation, Fox got on Bob Schieffer's case, especially Megyn Kelly.
Attorney General Eric Holder sits down with CBS's Face the Nation host, Bob Schieffer, for a half hour, a one-on-one interview, and not one question about the now infamous new Black Panther voter intimidation case.
More on the media's role ahead, but first I spoke earlier with CBS's chief Washington correspondent. Bob Schieffer, welcome.
Hey.
Let's start with the obvious question. Why did you not ask Eric Holder in that interview about this former justice official's allegation that a case against the new Black Panther Party was dropped because of racial politics?
Well, it's certainly a question that is a legitimate question to ask. And basically what happened was this all really became a story when the whistleblower came out and testified that he'd had to leave the Justice Department and so on. And frankly, had I known about that, I would have asked the question. I was on vacation that week. This happened. Apparently, it got very little publicity. And, you know, I just didn't know about it. I mean, you know, God knows everything, but I'm not quite that good. Every once in a while, something will slip by me. And in this case, it just slipped by me. If I'd have known it, I'd have asked about it.
All right. Now, other people are offering other explanations. Megyn Kelly, who's been leading the charge on this issue at Fox News, had this to say.
I'm telling you, one of two things happened. You tell me if I'm wrong. Number one, Schieffer doesn't care about the story and just decided to punt on it, even though you can find facts about it on CBS.com. So the website over there is doing its job, but Schieffer apparently isn't interested in the story. Or, number two, the DOJ set guidelines for this interview and told him, you can't ask about that.
Oh, well, that's not true. I mean, we never, ever make deals with anybody that's on Face the Nation, and you know that, Howie. People come on Face the Nation, and they have to be prepared to ask whatever questions we ask. Do I care about the story? Of course I care about the story. It is a legitimate question. Had I known that this person had left the Justice Department and charged that there were things going on that shouldn't be going on, I would have asked the question.
Did anyone...
That simply just got by me. I didn't know about that particular thing. I mean, this thing, I know about this lawsuit. This is about something that happened back in 2008. But I think any reasonable person would also answer there hasn't been a lot of news about it until this Justice Department official came forward.
Did anyone from Fox News call you to ask the question I'm asking you now?
No, they didn't. I wish they had. I would have been glad to tell them exactly what I'm telling you.
In the interview, you also asked Eric Holder about the new Arizona immigration law. You said that police, if they think somebody might be in this country illegally, gives them a right to stop and ask them to produce papers. But that was amended to say that police had to already be in the process of stopping somebody for somebody else and then ask them to produce papers. So could you have been more clear on that?
Oh, perhaps. But, you know, I have to tell you, Howie, even at the Justice Department, there is an argument about exactly what this law says. It says in one section of the law that because you think somebody isn't illegal in this country, that is not a right. You don't have the right to stop them and ask them about that law. In the second section of that law, though, it does say that being in this country illegally is a cause for action. So nobody knows how this law is going to be enforced because it hasn't gone into effect yet. I think in this case, this is just a case of semantics. We don't know.
One last point on this Black Panther case. Fox's Bill O'Reilly making the point that none of the network newscasts have covered this story. He says the network newscasts are not being honest about news because their agenda is to protect President Obama. Your thoughts?
Well, I think the reason that there hadn't been much coverage on it is there is a question about how significant this really is. I think it is, the coverage or lack of coverage has to do with the editor's news judgment. It doesn't have anything to do with protecting President Obama. And I think, frankly, that's absurd.
Fox's Megyn Kelly, as I mentioned, has been pumped up over this story. And this week she really got into it with a liberal Fox News contributor, Kirsten Powers.
I'm actually challenging you on what you're saying, and you won't let me talk.
Go ahead.
The minute I challenge you, you tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Because you don't.
You just want people to come on and just agree with you that what you've been doing and the way you've been completely doing the scary black man thing. The man standing outside. It's so horrible.
Do you know anything about this case?
Oh, Megyn, that's your response?
Did you listen to the DOJ whistleblower interview?
I don't agree with you. Because I don't agree with you.
Answer my question.
I don't know anything.
Testified that this was the worst case of voter intimidation. He has.
But Megyn, I didn't say it wasn't voter intimidation. But you're putting words in my mouth.
Let me finish.
You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say it wasn't voter intimidation.
Don't make me cut your mic.
Okay.
Testified that this was the worst case of voter intimidation he had ever seen in his life.
Joining us now to talk about the coverage of this controversy in Miami, Roland Martin, CNN contributor and the host of Washington Watch on TV One. And in Philadelphia, Jim Garrity, contributing editor at National Review. Jim Garrity, are Megyn Kelly and Bill O'Reilly right that this is an important story that the left-leaning press has minimized?
I think we can say it's an important story. If somebody wants to argue it's not as big as the Gulf Coast, fine, but not everything has to be an epic story. It's a story in which you actually have really good video, in which you can actually let people look at what's going on at that polling place in Philadelphia and make their own decisions.
We just played some really good video.
Yeah, it's going to say it's a situation in which the actions of the Black Panthers themselves are a part of the story, but the bigger story now is what was the DOJ's thinking on it? Why did they suddenly decide after proceeding for a certain time period that there wasn't a case there? And, whistleblowers coming forward with some very serious and very ominous allegations.
And Roland Martin, this is a case of two guys, as I mentioned, at one polling place in Philly. One of them had a billy club. How much coverage, in your view, does it deserve?
It deserves the minimal amount of coverage that it is received on other networks. It all speaks to motive, okay? Fox News clearly has a motive here in terms of how they are hyping this. This is all hype. What Fox wants, they want everyone else to do exactly what we're doing right now. Talk about them. So they get the whole conservative bloggers and radio talk show hosts saying, oh, the liberal media, they won't touch the story, but they also don't want to follow the facts. The best interview I saw this week, Howie, was with Juan Williams.
Let me jump in here. If there were evidence were to develop to support this former Justice lawyer, J. Christian Adams, who could show that there was a policy change under Attorney General Holder about handling these kinds of voter intimidation cases, wouldn't that be news?
You said if there is evidence that is uncovered, where is the evidence?
Two other former DOJ professional prosecutors have said that based on what they could see of this case, it looked like an open and shut, easy decision to go further. I'd also note that the Washington Post, a paper I think you're familiar with, the ombudsman wrote today that the paper had not been covering this story with the depth and the breadth of coverage that it deserves.
No, he scolded the paper for being late in running a single news story on the controversy.
But here's the deal, though. Again, though, Howie, you just heard in terms of, two other officials, this open and shut case. Last time I heard open and shut case, George Tenet was saying that about weapons of mass destruction. Does the evidence support somebody's allegation? No. But here's what's also interesting. You have Fox News, who sits here and lambasts the new Black Panther Party, rightfully so, but they, more than any other news organization, have hosted new Black Panther Party 51 times, according to Media Matters, on their own network prior to this. So who is giving them more of a platform? They are hyping this for the clear, obvious reasons, and it's not based upon fact. It's nonsense.
I got to wrap it up,
Fox
guys.
News is coming to the aid of people who wanted to vote for Obama.
Oh, no.
I got to wrap it up, guys.
Stop.
You can take this outside. Thanks very much.
That was cute, but so false.
Thanks very much, both of you. Justice Department, by the way, reduced the charges to an injunction against the man with a billy club who has to stay away from Philadelphia polling places for a couple of years. We'll see whether the Obama administration appeals the ruling.